US studio artists explore past and present remnants of revolutions across the globe to manifest a unique creation for New York City Jewelry Week 2023. In this production, we have asked the creators to share their experience, knowledge, and making of a unique work. Tracing the making of the current show, our curatorial department benefited from the historic exhibition Form Follows Function 200 plus 200 with decorative and applied arts from 1500 to 1900. This exhibition was organized and presented at the Elias Tlalonis Jewelry Museum for the 200th anniversary of the Greek War of Independence against the Ottoman Empire. The historic exhibition included a supplement of events in a satellite program with educational and creative projects, including the organization of this contemporary studio jewelry show. Volume 1 was presented at the Elias Tlalonis Jewelry Museum in Athens, and Volume 2 is currently presented in New York City with the addition of artists from the United States. Contemporary creators are assigned towards two directions for their inspiration. Greek studio jewelers are empowered with the dynamism of the Greek Revolution of 1821 and inspired by historic mottos, heroes of the revolution, literature that hymns courage and glory, events and traditions, traditional costumes, jewelry, and other decorative arts, trigger a personal message as an impetus for the creation. Artists from the United States are assigned to respond with a more liberal approach, applying to their personal inner search for artistic expression, inspired from any revolution that applies to their experience as citizens of a modern society. The open call was addressed mainly to those that have previously collaborated with the museum. Both nationals explore emerging issues that have impacted historical and recent global cultural, aesthetic, and artistic practices. They focus on interpreting understandings of nationhood, tradition, gender, and body to critically center the past with the contemporary moment. The exhibition develops the concept of thinking historically in the present by adapting a working methodology that privileges the role of intuition and incidence. Innovation is demonstrated with the choice of bizarre materials and forms. Large pins and neck pieces, polymorphic body jewelry, vests, table and small objects are only some of the types of artistic interest. For their construction, obvious or unexpected materials are chosen. Precious metals, paper, textiles, clay, wood, dried fruit, embroidery, threads, silk fabrics, and even family heirlooms from the chests were opened and utilized. Different materials add to a rich palette of colors expressing revolt, anger, freedom, sadness, or rebirth. Artists follow very diverse paths governed by their educational backgrounds, adding artistic value to the whole of their composition. Completing 30 years of operation, the Elias Tlalonis Jewelry Museum continues to aim in preserving and promoting the art of historic and contemporary jewelry and decorative arts. As an international hub, the museum remains at the service of the community, supporting education and research, projecting contemporary design, and defending creativity and innovation for the international artistic production. We hope that with this exhibition, artists will not only address current and social issues, but will increase awareness on the making and education of jewelry art. Also, enlarge the community and the strong relationship between the United States and Greece. Everyone at the Elias Tlalonis Jewelry Museum thank for the support Mr. Konstantinos Konstantinou, the Greek General Consulate, the directors of the American Friends of the Elias Tlalonis Jewelry Museum, and of course, J.B. Jones and Bella Newman for continuously striving to promote jewelry via the New York City Jewelry Week platform. In New York, which is one of the most important centers in the world for the making and preserving of contemporary art.
Το κόσμημά μου αποτελεί ένα έργο σύγχρονης φραγιδογλυφίας που σχετίζεται με την έννοια του κάλους και μορφικά συνδέεται με το κόσμημα Τσαπράζη, που ήταν το επιστήθιο κόσμημα που φορούσαν οι οπλαρχηγοί της Ελληνικής Επανάστασης. Ο αγώνας για τη διάσωση του κάλους είναι επιτακτικός σήμερα και ανάγεται σε πράξη επαναστατική για τη διάσωση της ανθρώπινης ψυχής. Η σημειολογία των υλικών που χρησιμοποιώ είναι εύκολα προσλήψιμη και ερμηνεύεται ως εξής. Το ισόγλυφο χαρακτικό διασώζει το σημαντικό μήνυμα. Το ανάγλυφο αποτύπωμά του εξασφαλίζει την επενέργεια της επαναστατικής πράξης. Οι αλυσίδες δηλώνουν τον δεσμό μεταξύ ψυχής, σώματος και πνεύματος που εξασφαλίζουν την ισορροπία της αγωνιστικής φύσης. Το τιτάνιο που έγινε μπλε με τη φωτιά δηλώνει ότι ο ουρανός και η θάλασσα μέσα μας κατακτούν τη θέση τους με μάχη. Τα υλικά μου που προέρχονται αποκλειστικά από τη γη θα μας συνδέσουν με το δοσμένο από τη φύση κάλος.
Το έργο που συμμετέχουμε στην έκθεση είναι δημιουργία μαζί με τον σύζυγό μου τον Βασίλη, εμπνευσμένο από ένα εργαλείο της Επανάστασης, ένα γιαταγάνι με μια προτροπή χαραγμένη πάνω στη λάμα του. Ο λόγος υπηρετεί πολλές φορές την έμπνευση που δίνει δύναμη και ορμή στο σπαθί για να διεκδικήσει. Τα υλικά που χρησιμοποιούμε είναι υλικά αγαπημένα σε εμάς να δουλεύουμε, το ξύλο, το μέταλλο, το ύφασμα, όλα με μια δικιά τους φυσική αντοχή στη φθορά, αλλά μεταμορφωμένα σε φόρμες που μπορούν να έχουν μια άλλη εσωτερική φωνή και δύναμη που μεταφέρουν σύμβολα, που το καθένα μπορεί να δώσει καινούρια ιδιότητα στο κάθε υλικό, όπως το ανέμισμα μιας σημαίας, όπως οι πτυχές μιας φουστανέλας, όπως η δυναμική μιας λάμας, έχουν να δώσουν ένα αποτέλεσμα καινούριας έμπνευσης για μια συνεχόμενη διάθεση της αμφισβήτησης και της εξέγερσης.
The work I have been creating for this exhibition is the result of many different inspirations and ideas that came from this exhibition. Things that I have been seeing many years before, but put them all together. I decided actually that I wanted to use a little bit of everything in a sense. This came out from an idea that I had putting together hematite magnets with an iron chain. And they got so well attracted together, and then I saw that I could decorate the chain in many different ways by using small elements, decorative elements, and not only, from all the objects that I could see in the exhibition. So I started using small motifs of flowers and different stones and pieces of glass and maybe some threads and other things, and all this I put them on the chain, and then I mingled the chain with the magnets, and that created a kind of a bangle. And what I saw then was that I could kind of put my hand go through, and all of that would sit on my wrist, and that would be a bracelet. And again, I could just make it wide open and make it go through my head, and that would be a necklace. And also, which was very interesting and amazing, was the fact that I could play around it with my hands and just place it on a table and leave it there until the next time I went there and pick it up and started fiddling with it. So my idea and my feeling was that a chain is something that holds you together, and it brings a sense of safety, and also at the same time it can bring the sense of not being free, but at the same time you can break them. There is a lot of movement, which for me, all these past years that the exhibition refers to, is a period of movement in many different levels, like socially, like in humanity, in the arts and crafts. It all got more and more complicated, and it all involved more and more information and things that I liked and enjoyed and have believed in. So I cannot stop making it because I keep adding, but I think I'm nearly the end, and I hope it's going to be good enough.
Θα σας παρουσιάσω τη Μαρία. Γιατί Μαρία? Γιατί η Μαρία υπάρχει σε κάθε ελληνικό σπίτι. Η Μαρία είναι μια περσόνα που χαρτογραφεί τη θεματική της έκθεσης και κυρίως ό,τι αφορά το κομμάτι του ενδύματος. Η Μαρία έχει φτιάξει μόνη της το καθημερινό της ρούχο, το οποίο είναι φτιαγμένο με κλωστές φυσικά βαμμένες από τα πέταλα της παπαρούνας. Έχει ένα άλλο κοστούμι, την ποδιά, την οποία εγώ την ονομάζω incubation. Η ποδιά αυτή είναι εμπνευσμένη από την ποδιά της γιαγιάς μου, από την Ανατολική Ρωμελία, την οποία τη φορούσαν μόνο την ημέρα του γάμου και έπειτα την ημέρα της γέννας. Υπήρχε εικασία ότι προφυλάσσει το μωρό και την γυναίκα. Εγώ έχω χρησιμοποιήσει τα δικά μου σύμβολα στο κομμάτι της ποδιάς, που είναι τα ψάρια, γιατί για μένα συμβολίζουν την κύηση, όπως είναι το έμβριο μέσα στο υγρό της κοιλιάς. Και τώρα θα δούμε το κύριο κομμάτι του ενδύματος της Μαρίας, που είναι εμπνευσμένο από το δρόμενο της Μπούλας και του γενίτσαρου στην περιοχή της Νάουσας. Παρατηρώντας το κέντημα, θα δούμε τη μορφή του γενίτσαρου, που συνομιλεί με την Μαρία. Ακόμη πιο μέσα, στο βάθος, θα δούμε άλλα κρυμμένα σύμβολα. Το πρόσωπο σχηματίζει μαζί με το τρίγωνο επάνω μια εκκλησία. Γι' αυτό το έχω φανταστεί από είναι βιωματικό, από τους μαχαλάδες της γειτονιάς, που μέσα στην αυλή κρύβανε το μικρό εκκλησάκι για να το κρύψουν από τους Τούρκους και να μην γίνει αντιληπτό.
The parure that I've created for this exhibit is inspired by a belt that I've seen at the museum last year, and it is called lahuri. Lahuri is a Turkish word. It's used in Asia Minor, and it comes from the ancient city of Lahore in India, currently in Pakistan. It was discovered, or rather occupied, by Alexander the Great, which brought back this design, this luxurious fabric, and that's what Lahuria was called then in Europe. In English, Lahuri is translated to Paisley. Paisley was a town in Scotland that was producing in great quantities these luxurious fabrics. And it is commonly seen even today all over Asia and the world. It's a popular design that has been used by many designers. It's one of my favorite designs also. I created this with the materials that remind us of Greece and revolution. The materials are 9-5 sterling silver, sono or Asian rosewood, mother of pearl, of course, and larimar. Mother of pearl being white symbolizes purity and Christ or the Virgin Mary in other cultures. Larimar, mar being the Latin word for the sea, reminds us of the ocean and the sea. Of course, blue and white are the national colors of Greece.
Η Inspired by gunpowder cases and swords, the composition of the piece reminds us of an explosion. Speared forms also resemble feathers of birds flying to freedom, or even a laurel celebrating victory. Colors display the mood of the battle, while patterns are created by printing inked doilies. These artifacts were passed down to me by my grandmother as a kind of dowry, just like fighters pass down their conquests as dowry for the next generations. The crocheted parts used as printing seals have been cast in metal and are used as decoration for the gunpowder case in order to explore the relation between cause and effect, as well as declare that revolutions seal the fate of nations. The materials used are metal and wood, as in the weapons of the revolution. Also, silk paper, which is handcrafted by me from silkworm cocoons, as a symbol of the connection to the present, since making silk paper is part of the development of my recent work.
For the exhibition A History of Revolutions, I decided to design a piece that is inspired by national costumes, embroideries and jewelry of the 18th and 19th century from the Epirus region in the north of Greece. Those costumes comprised of many layers and accessories such as overcoats, aprons, belts and decorative accessories. Jewelry was an integral part, of course, of their costumes, and they used the jewelry either as necklaces, as earrings, or even as hair accessories. The embroidery of the designs of these costumes were really magnificent. They had actually leaf and floral patterns mostly, and the techniques in which they were embroidered was very delicate, as I said before, and exquisite in nature. They often used the gold color threads to accentuate the design. The embroidery therefore resembles lace, and yet it's so much more intricate. And this intricacy reminded me of twisted wire technique we use in jewelry. So I decided to incorporate this twisted wire technique in the design in a way that the twisted wire follows the form and the twisted wire surrounds the stones, surrounds the whole design. What is very striking in these costumes of the Epirus area and of that region are the tassels as well as the colors they mainly used, which were red and black. And that's why I incorporated the tassels and the black velvet as the base of the jewel. I really wanted my design to be a jewel that a woman of today would like to wear, but also a woman of the time back then, she would choose to wear it. She would choose to wear it with her costume, with her traditional costume, that it would be so integrated into her lifestyle, into who she is.
The work that I've created for the exhibition is titled Blood Revolt, and it interrogates the complexities and ideologies of both social and political revolutions throughout time, and particularly looking at the Greek Revolution and texts that were inspired by the Greek Revolution, such as poetry and literature. From there, I have decided to subvert these texts and combine them with an array of symbols that will evoke personal and just trajectories by positioning them within a context of blood. The reason why I've chosen to use blood is because I've thought about revolutions in the sense of life and death. So not just non-violent revolutions, but there's been many revolutions through time where the amount has been blood. So I'm positioning the work within that context of the blood. And the representation or meaning of blood then sort of alludes to these myriad of connotations, and the piece aims to evoke a new statement rather than expressing a sort of slogan. It's imbued with all these kind of subverted meanings and these abstracted forms. Throughout the work, there's also small motifs that appear throughout it, and they interject within the piece, and that includes forms such as the circular symbol, which relates to unity, but then also as a powerful symbol, floral motifs are present within the piece. And it was my aim to create a work that sort of spoke about both an unfolding of life and death that were evident within revolutions throughout time.
Το θέμα της Επανάστασης είναι ένα θέμα που αγγίζει μια πολύ ευαίσθητη χορδή μου. Πιστεύω στις επαναστάσεις και πιστεύω στις αλλαγές. Η Επανάσταση σχετίζεται με την ιστορία και με το χρόνο. Επειδή την ιστορία την αφηγούμαστε γραμμικά, έχουμε την αίσθηση ότι και ο χρόνος είναι γραμμικός. Έτσι, ορίζουμε τις επαναστάσεις συνήθως σαν σημεία πάνω στη γραμμή του χρόνου. Ο χρόνος όμως στην πραγματικότητα είναι κυκλικός. Έχουμε δει ότι η ιστορία επαναλαμβάνεται. Όλα κάνουν τον κύκλο τους. Οι επαναστάσεις είναι κάτι που ετοιμάζεται για πολύ καιρό και όχι από πολλά άτομα ξαφνικά. Οι επαναστάσεις ξεκινάνε μέσα μας. Ο καθένας ονειρεύεται μια καινούργια πραγματικότητα μέσα του. Όταν οι φωνές γίνουν πολλές και ενωθούμε, τότε η δυναμική πολλαπλασιάζεται. Η διάθεση για αναδιάταξη πολλαπλασιάζεται και τότε τα μεμονωμένα εργαλεία γίνονται όπλα και είναι αναπότρεπτη η αλλαγή. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι οι επαναστάσεις μπορεί να έχουν απώλειες, μεγάλες απώλειες που στοιχίζουν σε όλους μας. Υπάρχουν όμως και ανέμακτες επαναστάσεις. Πιστεύω στις ανέμακτες επαναστάσεις, τις ειρηνικές. Αυτές που εμπνέονται από το σεβασμό στη φύση, στον άνθρωπο και γενικά στη ζωή. Η δημιουργικότητα για μένα είναι συνυφασμένη με τη ζωή και με την Επανάσταση. Η δημιουργικότητα είναι ένα μέσο έκφρασης, όπως και το κόσμημα. Το κόσμημα είναι το όχημά μου. Έχει μακριά ιστορία. Έχει συνοδεύσει πολλούς από εμάς στις επαναστάσεις τους, τις μικρές ή τις μεγάλες. Έχει ακολουθήσει εποχές, τάσεις, χρηστικότητα, αλλά και την έννοια της σωματικότητας. Ποια είναι η δική μου επανάσταση? Θέλω να ορίσω με ένα διαφορετικό τρόπο πράγματα που μας έχουν δοθεί σαν κατεστημένα, καθιερωμένα. Ας πούμε την έννοια της πολυτιμότητας. Πώς αλλάζει η έννοια αυτή μες στον χρόνο? Ποιος είναι αυτός που την ορίζει? Μήπως είναι το μάτι του παρατηρητή? Γίνομαι λοιπόν παρατηρητής των κοσμημάτων μιας άλλης εποχής και προσπαθώ με το δικό μου τρόπο να τα δώσω με μια νέα μορφή. Με ενδιαφέρει πολύ η βιωσιμότητα, με ενδιαφέρουν τα νέα υλικά. Πώς θα δούμε το παρελθόν με καινούρια μάτια. Έτσι έχω κάνει μία δοκιμή, μία προσπάθεια να χρησιμοποιήσω στο έργο μου υλικά όπως το χαρτί, υλικά που θεωρούσαμε μέχρι πρότινος ευτελή, αλλά που η ιστορία μας, η παρούσα μας έδειξε ότι είναι πολύτιμα, όπως για παράδειγμα ο πόλεμος της Ουκρανίας και το αντίκτυπο που είχε στην τιμή του χαρτιού στην αγορά, και να δημιουργήσω κοσμήματα που μορφολογικά αλλά και χρηστικά μοιάζουν με εκείνα της Ελληνικής Επανάστασης, όπως τα γνωρίσαμε μέσα από τις εκθέσεις που έλαβαν χώρα στο Μουσείο Λαλαούνι.
I am a jewelry designer and manufacturer. I'm specialized in traditional jewelry techniques, as I use them in order to replicate authentic Greek traditional jewelry that used to accompany local costumes. I was inspired by two pieces from the exhibition Form Follows Function. One is the Giordani or Girdani or Gerdan, a jewelry very common around the Mediterranean cultures that is a pectoral ornament consisted of interlocking filigree plates with hanging coins. I kept the basic form of the jewelry and replaced the geometrical shaped plates with alphabet that form a phrase from a very famous battle hymn, a poem called Furious, written in 1797 by Rigas Piraeus. This phrase tells that it's finer to live 1 hour as a free man than 40 years as a slave and a prisoner. I used filigree technique for the plates and decorated them the same way as at the second item from the exhibition, form follows function, a long coat named Sigouni or Flocata from Zagori Epirus in northern Greece. This item is highly and heavily embroidered, and I tried to use item transfer the way of the embroidery decoration into metal using the filigree technique.
Responding to Lalaouni's Jewelry Museum call to participate in an exhibition to celebrate the 200 years of the Greek Revolution, I created a neckpiece under the title Liberty or Death, Ελευθερία ή Θάνατος. Bayraki and bandieres, the flags used by the Greek fighters against the Ottoman occupation during the Independence War, were a source of inspiration for the necklace I designed. The flags I chose were transferred over wooden letters that form the revolutionary motto Liberty or Death, Ελευθερία ή Θάνατος, one of the phrases that inspired and uplifted the enslaved Greeks. The motto still symbolizes the determination of the Greeks to constantly fight against tyranny and oppression, defying death.
Εγώ είχα δει ένα έργο μιας τέχνης, η οποία μου θύμισε λίγο εκείνες τις ζώνες της που φορούσαν και βάζαν όλα τα φυσίγγια, πώς τα λένε, στη σειρά, και πήγα και βρήκα κάλικες για να κάνω κάτι με αυτό. Και έτσι ξεκίνησα να κάνω αυτό το, τέλος πάντων, αυτά τα δύο κολλιέ, πάντα με τη σκέψη ότι τα όπλα ναι μεν είναι κάτι το οποίο κάνει ίσως για να βρουν την ελευθερία τους, τέλος πάντων, είναι κάτι χρήσιμο. Αλλά εγώ πιστεύω ότι θα μου άρεσε περισσότερο να μπορούσαμε όλα αυτά τα πράγματα να κοσμούμε τον εαυτό μας αντί να τσακωνόμαστε μεταξύ μας. Κάπως έτσι το είδα το θέμα και γι' αυτό το ξεκίνησα. Άνετα επέλεξα τα χρώματα γιατί αυτό το χρώμα, δεν ξέρω, συμβολίζει τη σημαία μας, τον ουρανό μας. Είναι το χρώμα το δικό μας, ρε παιδί μου, είναι το χρώμα της Ελλάδος για μένα. Και είναι ένα χρώμα που μου αρέσει πάρα πολύ. Δηλαδή νομίζω ότι είναι, σου ανοίγει την ψυχή, ρε παιδί μου, πώς το λένε, κάπως έτσι.
I decided to give this creation the name Laskarina in memory of Laskarina Bouboulina, the Greek naval commander, the heroine of the Greek War of Independence in 1821, who became the first woman to attain the rank of admiral. Inspired by the kosteki, an ornament for the chest that accompanied the Greek traditional costume in the 19th and 20th centuries, Laskarina narrates the story of the many struggles of women. The struggles for life, equality and freedom can be traced from the Age of Enlightenment to the revolution of the Iranian women in our days. Day by day, the piece was evolving in my hands. It began with just 2 pieces of plastic found on a beach, which consisted the main body. Laskarina is a note to female nature, a shield of protection for the modern woman, who with love, cares and embraces those around her, and at the same moment finds the strength to defend her values with boundless courage.
My name is Mara Colecchia. I am originally from Italy, but I'm based in California. I was a resident artist at the Ilias Lalaunis Museum in September 2023. The piece that I want to present to this exhibit is based on the social media revolution. So the revolution I am exploring is the one of the evil eye, which is an eye, in this particular case, the camera, which is constantly looking everything and everybody 24/7. And to me, this concept is opening a series of ethical issues, which are the idea of taboo, of privacy, what is private and what is not, and how we can protect the victims of the violence that is shown constantly by social media. And thinking of the concept of the evil eye, I decided to explore the idea of the revolution of social media. Starting from the Big Brother to TikTok, we have been for the past 20 years constantly exposed to the unscrupulous eye of the camera. And although it is a good thing on one hand, because a lot of violence has been exposed, like domestic violence, abuse on children, social injustice. On the other hand, there is an ethical issue on the idea of protecting the victim of this violence, which most of the time they want to remain unseen. I explored this concept through a piece, which is going to be a very large piece made with a series of eyes, in my style and my vocabulary as a beadsmith, which is very playful and colorful. This is one of the pieces that are most representative of my work. So the piece that I'm presenting is still very large, very dense of intricate details, and very colorful, because this is the style I have as an artist, and although the concept is a very tough one.
Freedom, Wisdom, Happiness, and Death, Greek Amphora neckpiece. The neckpiece titled Freedom, Wisdom, Happiness, Death, Greek Amphoras was made during my artist residency at the Ilias Lalaunis Jewelry Museum in summer 2022. Form follows function, 200 plus 200, decorative and applied arts, 1621 to 2021 was on display, and the included objects shaped my first impressions of Greece and how material culture tells the story of a place. Tableware, apparel, precious home objects allowed one to experience in a tactile way what life might have been like at a certain time period, what natural resources were available, and how they were shaped by makers' hands. The exhibit focused on the lead up to Greek Revolution and the subsequent years. I was struck by both the adornment and the weaponry. Arms makers and jewelry makers share similar techniques and ways of making, but the outcomes feel like polar opposites. Chased, inlaid, and bejeweled arms speak to the owner's power and prowess on the battlefield. In this extreme beauty and technical virtuosity, I sense a melancholic twist. There is an implied violence. Jewelry comes from a tradition of sentimentality, love, and beauty. Revolution is a time when these two sentiments are both experienced. There is an overlap to the two worlds, and I am drawn to both. As a way into Greek culture, I observed the Greek alphabet. Some characters were familiar and part of my Western upbringing. Some were completely new, and their pictorial beauty affected me. Combinations of letters into words were visually striking through my eyes. I looked for words in the ancient wares that I was seeing in the Greek writings and the present-day citizens I spoke with. What were and are the most beautiful Greek words? What are the most meaningful words? This question was a way to foster solidarity and cultural communication. Freedom and death resonated with many, and the syllables in these words define the number of lines on the iconic Greek flag. Freedom and death are linked themes for revolutionary periods, and it interests me what happens when freedom is achieved. Does that leave space for wisdom and luck or happiness? These words and the most iconic Greek vessel silhouettes form a circle of life neck piece included in the exhibition. I use thick, fine silver as a base for the element that were pushed, pulled, scratched, and marked by simple steel, chasing, and repoussé tools. Chasing is a fundamental goldsmithing technique used across cultures throughout time on weapons and tokens of love. There are 9 elements in the neck piece, the same number of stripes on the Greek flag, plus 4 incised words: freedom, wisdom, happiness, and death, extracted from the Greek motto forged during the Revolution. As Epicurus says, the art of living well and dying well are one.
My piece for the New York City Jewelry Week exhibition, inspired by Revolution, was dedicated to my mother, who wrote her PhD dissertation about revolution. And when I was younger, my mother would speak to me about what she was writing about, and what stuck in my head was this group of people who were the Luddites, and they were breaking machinery because they were concerned about the new technology taking away their jobs, and the new technology was going to put them out of work or make them work in different hours and different types of things. So the imagery of the actual machinery was inspiring to me, and also the concept of the new and the old, with always there's this pull for artists, for everyone, with there's new technology which we're afraid of, and then there's new technology which we can access and use to our benefit. And so this inspired my work, plus the imagery from the actual machinery that was being broken, the shapes, and I love old machinery, and so I'm going to be kind of inspired by these actual items that are being broken, and have them tell the story of the Industrial Revolution and the machine breakers within my piece. So I'll be using metal objects from silver and natural materials, and I definitely will have a nod to fiber, because they were actually in the textile industry, the machine breakers. And I'm hoping to at least get some of the feel of the pull of the new and the old, plus the imagery of the machinery that was being broken during this time period.
I made a piece using this phrase in 2016 to reflect in 3 dimensions my attitude about what was going on here at that time. And since this phrase has continued to be a part of our lives, I thought it fit with the theme of this exhibition. Most people use it to express various feelings of not only confusion, but also excitement and optimism, even when we might feel disappointed. So it can be manipulated depending on the circumstances, and I find that versatility to be a strength.
Well, it's about revolution. I only know revolution from a personal point of view. To me, a revolution is really about sudden change and about doing a turnaround. So for me, change is always about something away from the expected, different from the traditional. I tend to steer away from the traditional. My jewelry is not traditional luxury. It's not gems and metal. It's totally unprecious. But when I transform my materials, it's into something precious that's a very personal statement. I'm totally into bold and large and being seen out there. It's not about being precious. It's transforming the unexpected into a new form. It's about spontaneity. It's also about where there's creativity, there are no rules. Where there are no rules, there is no fear. So I just move ahead forward and do exactly what my intuition and my spirit tells me to do. I don't do narrative, but my pieces still tell a story. I combine mostly unlikely materials. In this case, for the New York Jewelry Week, for the Ilias Lalounis Jewelry Museum and Jewelry Week 2023, I made a piece that's out of leather, bound metal, paint, plastic, paper, and copper. Most of the time, I don't combine these materials, but it spoke to me, and it's all about the joyfulness and the natural flow that comes out of what I see.
Revolution in all its forms represents a call for change, an appeal for progressiveness, and a push for a better tomorrow. In this piece, I use politically charged symbolism, such as the Boston Tea Party event and the modern practice of gerrymandering. I use teacups to symbolize the Boston Tea Party, where colonialists protested against the British Parliament's taxation of tea. This act of rebellion, which started the American Revolution, represented the colonists' desire for representation and freedom. However, issues about representation remain a critical issue even in contemporary America. Today we see the modern act of gerrymandering, a manipulative strategy by politicians to change district boundaries, resulting in the exclusion of voters who do not align with a particular political party. I embroider the most brazen examples of gerrymandered districts into the piece to show the imbalance of political power, which ultimately leads to no representation, making some votes count more than others. Both the symbols of the Boston Tea Party and gerrymandering invite the viewer to have a deeper understanding of how political power can be abused, resulting in the absence of true democracy. Through this piece, I aim to spur critical thinking and explore ways in which individuals can take part in the movement towards a more democratic society.
My jewelry practice is inspired by the language of architectures, landscapes, and site-specific locations I have visited, lived, and encountered. My research is centered around the theory and psychology of what is known as place identity, and how jewelry can potentially act as a material extension to express dimensions of the self. As a Greek American, my Hellenic identity is not only linked to our ancient ancestors, but to the lives of those who fought for our independent Greek nation. Freedom from the occupation was critical for Greek culture to thrive, transform, and flourish. My jewelry for this exhibition embodies impressions from the streets of Athens, where the resilience of the Greek people physically exists in many layers. Through the lens of jewelry, I reveal, preserve significant personal narratives which are affixed to place, and examine the emotional connection I have through these artifacts found on site. As an heirloom, this jewelry is physically marked by surface of the city in an effort to sustain, repair, and reinforce my Hellenic identity.
when I was asked to partake in this exhibition with the powerful title of Revolution, it made me stop and think. My wearable jewelry is not politically motivated, and I choose not to make political commentary overtly or covertly. Yet, I am a product of American society. Inexorably, what I create as an artist reflects the society within which I live. I am American. In the words of the slave owner's grandson, Walt Whitman, America is unique because we are the race of all races. Yet the political writings of Malcolm X and Michelle Obama ring true. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. Our forefathers and mothers fought for our freedom, but not everyone reaps the benefits. I live in a country where people have an incredible amount of freedom. Citizens even have the freedom to criticize their own country. Yet the injustices continue, and not all Americans are treated equally. The political climate today reverberates with Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, the Me Too movement, feminism, LGBTQIA gender movement, the Climate Action Network, gun control. There are many others. And there exists white supremacy, anti-Semitism, Nazi sympathizers, and anti-trans lynch mobs. All of these are strong undercurrents of our contemporary American society. At this moment, the United States is riddled with identity politics and divided by partisanship. We are a two-party system, divided down the middle, constantly at odds. Our country can't see eye to eye, and even worse, both of our political parties are fractured. It's beautifully coincidental, however, that my current work explores the locket format, which is the most binary form of jewelry I know, worn as an expression of love. It consists of 2 folios, divided in the middle by a hinge. So I've been deconstructing and reconstructing, arranging, rearranging the formal aspects of the locket as a metaphor for the society in which I live. The locket I created for this exhibition has not 2, but 3 silver folios connected by hinges. When one side is closed, the other is open, and vice versa. The bold red, white, and blue patriotic colors on the back peek out from underneath and can be seen from the front. The locket in this exhibition is best displayed open because it can never fully close. The 2 opposing sides can never meet because the middle ground stands firmly planted and pulled by the factions on either end. The middle ground both obstructs and connects the opposite ends. The 3 folios are at odds, yet at the same time, they are dependent upon each other in order to boast the patriotic colors symbolic of our democracy. The middle folio in this locket represents the people in between, all the unheard voices and injustices. And finally, the iconic locket format prevails, one of caring and love of others. My Lithuanian and Irish relatives and my husband's Dutch family immigrated here, fleeing their countries, seeking a better life through immigration. We are the benefactors, and so are our children. I am deeply grateful that I can freely express myself artistically without censorship. And especially with this exhibition, in the paraphrased words of the New York Times film critic A.O. Scott, the artist's job is to show us something we didn't know we needed to see. My goal is to do that in the field of contemporary jewelry.
I created my piece, Icons, thinking about the social media and technology revolution and the way that it's changed the way that we see ourselves and relate to others. The pocket-sized frame mirrors resemble app icons on a smartphone, and the color of the mirrors are supposed to reference the digital colors that we have on our phone apps. So that's the reason why I have the grid layout of the mirrors, and that's also the reason why I chose the colors that I did for the piece. They're also pocket-sized in reference to religious icons that are used in Greek Orthodox religion. It was a reference to my Greek Orthodox heritage, and it also fits with the concept of pockets and phones fitting in your pocket and something that's portable and you're able to take it with you. I used mirrors so that people's reflections could be reflected back at them when they look into these icons. The piece is about blurring the lines of collective vanity and self-obsession and the power that we hold as individuals and our ability to create change through the content that we create on social media. In this piece, the lines are blurred between collective vanity and self-obsession and the power we hold as individuals and our ability to create change together through our virtual and corporeal content.